First contact and mockery. The massive view screen aboard the HMS Defiant filled with the imposing sight of the Caraxian warships, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight like deadly prisms. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's center, her weathered hands gripping the command rail as she studied the alien fleet that had suddenly appeared at the edge of Neptune's orbit. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his communication station, dark eyes fixed on the scrolling data. Text and audio, translated through the first contact protocols. "Let's hear it," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the bridge. The alien transmission crackled through the speakers, its artificial translation carrying unmistakable notes of contempt. "This is High Commander Vexkar of the Caraxian Empire. Your primitive vessels amuse us. Submit to immediate inspection and classification, or be designated as hostile entities." Chen exchanged glances with her XO, Commander David Walsh, whose lined face reflected her own controlled anger. The Defiant was humanity's most advanced warship, the culmination of 2 centuries of space warfare technology. To have it dismissed as primitive struck a nerve. "Sensors are picking up energy readings off the scale, Captain," reported Dr. Maya Patel from the science station. Her fingers flew across the holographic interface as she analyzed the incoming data. "Their weapon systems are like nothing we've ever seen. Crystalline-based technology, possibly drawing power directly from subspace." Chen nodded, maintaining her composure. "Send standard first contact protocols, Lieutenant. Let's play this by the book for now." But before Rodriguez could transmit, another message came through. The translator rendered Vexkar's laughter into something harsh and mechanical. "Your vessel's energy signature is barely detectable. Do your engines run on combustion? How quaint. We expected more from the species that claims to control this sector." The bridge crew bristled at the mockery, but Chen raised a hand for calm. She had noticed something in the sensor readings, a pattern in the crystalline hull's energy distribution that triggered her tactical instincts. "Dr. Patel," she said quietly, "focus quantum scanners on their shield harmonics. Something about their power distribution seems inefficient." As paddle worked, the Caraxian ships began to move, arranging themselves in a formation that clearly demonstrated their technological superiority. Their crystalline hulls pulsed with energy, creating a dazzling display that was both beautiful and intimidating. "Captain," Patel called out, excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. "You're right. Their crystalline technology. It's not just for show. The same structure that makes their ships so powerful also creates harmonic vulnerabilities. Regular weapons wouldn't spot it, but our quantum scanners." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Send all sensor data to tactical. Commander Walsh, begin analysis for potential weapons modifications. Let them think we're as primitive as they believe." The next hour was tense as the Caraxian ships maintained their position, occasionally broadcasting more condescending messages. Chen used the time wisely, having her crew conduct detailed scans while appearing to simply wait in confused submission. "Captain," Walsh reported finally, "we've identified a resonance frequency in their shield matrix. Their crystalline technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also rigid, literally. Hit it at exactly the right frequency, and the whole structure could shatter." Chen finished, like an opera singer breaking a wine glass. She straightened her uniform and turned to Rodriguez. "Open a channel to Fleet Command, encrypted quantum burst. Then prepare a response to our guests." As her crew worked, Chen reflected on humanity's history of being underestimated. From the first time humans took to the seas in wooden ships, to their earliest ventures into space, every step had been marked by challenges from those who thought them primitive or weak. The Caraxians were about to learn what so many others had learned before. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to adapt, to observe, and to turn apparent weaknesses into unexpected advantages. "Channel open to Fleet Command, Captain," Rodriguez reported. "Send the following. Have identified critical vulnerability in Caraxian defense systems. requesting authorization to proceed with tactical demonstration. Recommend immediate mobilization of the Third Fleet for possible conflict escalation. As she waited for a response, Chen watched the magnificent but arrogant Caraxian ships on her view screen. They had no idea that their greatest weapon, their advanced crystalline technology, might prove to be their undoing. "Their mockery of our ships ends today," she said softly, "one way or another." The hidden advantage. Deep within the Lunar Research Facility Copernicus base, Dr. James Martinez stared at the simulation results floating in the holographic display. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Chen's discovery of the Caraxian vulnerability, and the physicist hadn't left his lab for more than a few hours at a time. "Run it again," he ordered the AI system, rubbing his tired eyes. "Adjust the quantum resonance by 0.03%. The simulation flickered to life, showing a beam of concentrated energy striking a crystalline structure. This time, instead of merely cracking, the crystal shattered in a cascade of theoretical destruction. Finally, Martins whispered, allowing himself a small smile. He reached for the quantum comm unit. "Get me Admiral Hassan. Priority 1. 12 hours later, the project briefing room was filled with Earth's top military and scientific minds. Martins stood before them, his usual social anxiety forgotten in the excitement of discovery. "We're calling it the Resonance Cascade Amplifier," he explained, gesturing to the technical schematics behind him. "It exploits the fundamental flaw Captain Chen discovered in the Caraxian crystalline technology. Their ship's hulls and shields are essentially one massive crystal matrix, incredibly strong, but vulnerable to specific frequencies." Admiral Hassan leaned forward, her sharp eyes scanning the data. "And you're certain this will work against their entire fleet, not just individual ships?" Martinez nodded eagerly. "That's the beauty of it. Their crystalline technology is standardized across their fleet. It has to be, for their formations to create those synchronized energy fields we've observed. Hit one ship at the right frequency, and the resonance carries through their entire battle network." Captain Chen finished from her seat near the front. She'd been recalled from patrol to participate in the weapons development. "Like a chain reaction." "Exactly," Martins confirmed. "But there's a catch. We'll need to modify the quantum lance on a capital ship, something big enough to house the amplifier arrays. And we'll only get one shot. The moment we fire, they'll realize what we're doing and break formation." The room erupted in technical discussions and tactical planning. Through it all, Admiral Hassan watched Martinez carefully. "How long to modify a ship?" 3 days, if we have full access to a quantum lance system. The modifications aren't complex. We're essentially turning their own technology against them. The tricky part will be getting close enough to fire without them realizing what we're doing." Captain Chen spoke up again. "The Defiant can do it. My crew knows their patterns now, and they still think we're primitive. Their arrogance is our best weapon." Hassan nodded slowly. "Begin the modifications immediately. But understand, if this fails, we'll lose our only advantage of surprise. The Caraxians have been patient so far, amused by what they see as our primitive attempts at diplomacy. If we strike and fail—" "We won't fail," Martinez interrupted, then blushed at his own boldness. "The science is solid. We just need them to underestimate us for a few minutes longer." As the meeting concluded, Chen approached Martins at his display. "Walk me through the modifications my ship will need," she said. "I want to understand every detail." Over the next 3 days, the Defiant underwent its transformation in the hidden shipyards beneath the lunar surface. Martins worked alongside Chen's engineering team, integrating the new systems while maintaining the ship's external appearance. "They're still watching," Chen noted, standing with Martinez in the Defiant's engine room. 3 Caraxian scouts at the edge of the system, still broadcasting their messages about primitive technology and graciously giving us time to reconsider our barbaric independence. Martinez checked the final calibrations on the resonance amplifier. "Their arrogance blinds them. They see our quantum lance as a crude attempt at copying their crystalline weapons. They don't realize we've developed it in an entirely different direction. How many ships do you think we'll need to lose before we can get close enough? Chen asked quietly. Martines met her gaze steadily. Too many, but fewer than we'll lose if we do nothing. The simulations show they're building up to something big. Their fleet movements, the energy readings, they're preparing for what they think will be a quick conquest. Chen nodded grimly. Then we strike first. Tomorrow. She turned to leave, then paused. Doctor, when this starts, there's no theoretical limit to how far the resonance cascade could spread through their fleet, is there? Martinez shook his head. Their entire command and control structure is built on crystalline technology. Their arrogance made them build everything to the same exacting specifications. One perfect hit could shatter their entire empire. Chen finished. Good. They should have thought twice before mocking humanity's primitive ships. As Martinez watched her leave, he reflected on humanity's history of turning scientific understanding into unexpected weapons. The Corrections thought their crystalline technology made them invulnerable. Tomorrow, they would learn that even the most perfect crystal could shatter if you found just the right frequency. And humanity had become very, very good at finding weaknesses in seemingly perfect systems. Battle of Neptune's Edge. Neptune's blue sphere provided a haunting backdrop as the human fleet assembled at the edge of its orbit. The HMS Defiant led the formation, its modified quantum lance hidden beneath layers of routine energy signatures. Behind it, 30 Earth ships moved into defensive positions, appearing disorganized to any watching eyes. Coraxian fleet approaching, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice tight. 87 ships. They're maintaining their crystalline formation. Captain Chen nodded, her face illuminated by the tactical displays. Just as arrogant as ever. Status of the resonance amplifier. Online and charged. Dr. Martins replied from his temporary station. He'd insisted on being present for the first deployment of his creation. But Captain, their formation is different. The crystal matrices are synchronized in a pattern we haven't seen before. Before Chen could respond, the main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. High Commander Vexcar's translated voice filled the bridge, dripping with condescension. Your clustered ships remind me of primitive herd animals, the Correction leader mocked. How fitting. We've grown tired of watching your fumbling attempts at space travel. Your solar system will make an adequate mining outpost for the Empire. Chen signaled Rodriguez to mute the transmission. Status of their shield harmonics. Martinez's fingers flew across his console. The new formation is creating interference patterns. I need them to move just a few degrees to port to get a clean resonance lock. Tactical. Chen called out. Prepare a spread of conventional torpedoes. Target their trailing escorts. Make it look desperate and uncoordinated. The human fleet launched its first salvo, a barrage of weapons that the Corrections had previously dismissed as primitive. As expected, their crystalline shields flared brilliantly, absorbing the attacks without damage. Your weapons are as ineffective as they are unimpressive, Vexcar broadcasted. Allow us to demonstrate real power. The Correction fleet's response was devastating. Crystalline energy beams lanced out, slicing through 3 human ships before they could evade. The destroyed vessels broke apart in silent explosions, their crews lost to the void. Chen's knuckles whitened on her command rail, but her voice remained steady. All ships, execute maneuver Delta 7. Make it look like we're breaking formation in panic. The human fleet scattered in apparent disarray. But Chen noticed the Correction ships adjusting their position exactly as planned, moving to encircle what they saw as easy prey. They're in position, Martinez announced suddenly. Crystal matrix alignment is optimal. All ships, clear the resonance corridor, Chen ordered. Divert all power to the quantum lance. Remove all safeties. The Defiant's modified weapon hummed to life, its energy signature masked by the chaos of battle around it. The Corrections, focused on their complex encirclement maneuver, didn't notice the subtle changes in the human flagship's power distribution. Resonance frequency locked, Martins reported. Firing solution calculated. But Captain, the energy readings from their fleet, something's wrong. They're building up to something massive. Chen watched as the correction ships began to glow with accumulated power, their crystalline hulls pulsing with blinding light. They're preparing to fire everything they have. They want to end this in one shot. She straightened in her chair. So do we. Fire. The modified quantum lance released its beam, invisible to conventional sensors. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a high-pitched crystalline tone filled every communication channel. The nearest Coraxian ship shuddered, its beautiful crystal hull developing microscopic fractures that spread like lightning. The resonance cascade began, jumping from ship to ship through their linked energy fields. But something was wrong. Power buildup in their fleet is reaching critical levels, Martin had shouted. The resonance cascade is interfacing with whatever weapon they were charging. The space around Neptune lit up as correction ships began to shatter, their crystalline technology turning against them. But each destruction released massive energy pulses, far more powerful than predicted. All ships, emergency withdrawal, Chen ordered. Their weapon charge is destabilizing. The human fleet began its retreat, but not all would make it. The chain reaction had grown beyond anyone's calculations, creating a storm of crystalline shrapnel and energy discharges that filled space for thousands of kilometers. When the chaos finally subsided, the battlefield had been transformed. Over 60 Coraxian ships were destroyed, their crystalline remains spreading a glittering cloud through space. But humanity had lost 11 more ships to the unexpected energy storm. Surviving Coraxian vessels are retreating at maximum speed, Rodriguez reported. They're sending a transmission. Play it, Chen ordered. Vexcar's voice had lost all trace of mockery. This is not over, humans. You have committed an atrocity against our sacred technology. The full might of the Empire will answer this insult. As the transmission ended, Martinez looked up from his readings, his face pale. Captain, the resonance cascade exceeded all our models. We didn't just destroy their ships. We may have permanently destabilized their entire crystalline technology network. Any ship using their standard configurations could be vulnerable to spontaneous crystal failure. Chen absorbed this information silently, watching Neptune's peaceful blue form behind the debris field of battle. They had achieved far more than a tactical victory. They had shaken the very foundation of the Coraxian Empire's technological superiority. Send word to Earth, she finally ordered. Tell them we've won the battle. But the war is about to begin. The price of pride. In the great crystal dome of the Coraxian High Command, Supreme Leader Zarovek watched the battle recordings for the 100th time. The destruction of their fleet played out before her in haunting detail, proud crystalline ships shattering like glass sculptures dropped from orbit. Impossible, she whispered, her scaled fingers tightening on her command staff. 3 centuries of crystalline supremacy, undone by primitives. High Commander Vexcar stood at attention, his once proud posture diminished by defeat. The humans concealed their true capabilities, Supreme Leader. They turned our own resonance patterns against us. They did more than that, Zarovek hissed. Reports are coming in from across the Empire. Spontaneous crystal failures in our defense networks. Shield matrices destabilizing without warning. The humans didn't just defeat our fleet. They poisoned our entire technological foundation. Meanwhile, aboard the HMS Defiant, Captain Chen was facing her own crisis. The holographic display showed the mounting problems. Shipyards across Earth's sphere of influence working at maximum capacity, trying to prepare for the inevitable Coraxian response. They're adapting faster than we predicted, Dr. Martins reported, his face haggard from weeks without proper rest. Our long-range sensors show them modifying their remaining ships, implementing randomized crystal frequencies. The same trick won't work twice. Commander Walsh pulled up another report. We're detecting massive energy signatures from their core worlds. They're stripping down entire cities, redirecting all their resources to military production. Chen studied the tactical overlay grimly. They're wounded and humiliated. That makes them more dangerous than ever. She turned to Martinez. How many ships can we outfit with the resonance technology before they return? Maybe 30, but it won't matter. They'll have countermeasures in place. We need something new. Back in Correxian space, Zarevek had gathered her war council. The chamber's crystalline walls, once a source of pride, now seemed like a potential weakness to every officer present. The humans expect us to strike back immediately, she declared. Our pride demands it. But pride, she paused, looking at the battle recordings again. Pride is what blinded us to their true nature. Supreme Leader, a young tactical officer named Kexery, stepped forward. Perhaps we have been approaching this incorrectly. We assumed their technological development would mirror our own. But humans evolved on a heavy gravity world, under constant environmental pressures. They think differently. Zarevek's eyes narrowed. Explain. They don't seek perfection like we do. They embrace chaos, adaptation. Each of their ships is slightly different. Their weapons show signs of constant modification, while we spent centuries refining our crystal technology to its purest form. They were learning to exploit any weakness they could find. Zarevek finished. How long until the fleet modifications are complete? 3 days, Supreme Leader. But our new formations are untested. The randomized frequencies protect against their resonance weapon, but they reduce our combat efficiency by 30%. In Earth's lunar shipyards, Martinez had called an emergency meeting with the combined human research teams. The holographic displays showed their latest findings and their latest problems. The Correxians are abandoning their traditional crystal harmonics, he explained. They're sacrificing raw power for unpredictability. Our original strategy is useless now. Captain Chen, attending via quantum link from the Defiant, spoke up. Then we need to think like humans. They expect us to try the same trick again. What if we use their expectation against them? Martinez's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. They're randomized frequencies. They're not truly random. They can't be. There has to be a pattern, or their ships couldn't coordinate at all. Find it, Chen ordered. We have 3 days at most before they launch their counterattack. And this time, they won't underestimate us. As the meeting dispersed, Chen remained on the quantum link with Martinez. Doctor, if we can't find a way through their new defenses, we'll find it, he interrupted. They still think in absolutes, perfect or imperfect, victory or defeat. But that's not how humanity works. Chen nodded slowly. We've never needed to be perfect. We just need to be good enough to survive. And we're very, very good at surviving. The next 72 hours saw frantic activity across both civilizations. The Correxians rebuilt their fleet with randomized crystal matrices, their formations now chaos rather than perfection. Human scientists worked around the clock, searching for patterns in the unpredictable, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of both species. And in the vast darkness between their worlds, the shattered remains of crystalline ships continued to drift, a glittering reminder that even the most unbreakable things could shatter when struck in just the right way. Victory through innovation. The void between Mars and Jupiter became humanity's chosen battlefield. 300 human ships formed a defensive line, the HMS Defiant at their center. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, watching the tactical display as thousands of modified sensor drones scattered throughout the combat zone. Correxian fleet detected, Rodriguez announced. Over 500 vessels. Their crystal signatures are shifting. Random patterns, just as we expected. Dr. Martinez monitored his specialized equipment, dark circles under his eyes testament to endless hours of preparation. The detection net is ready, Captain. Every drone is running the pattern recognition algorithms. The Correxians think they've solved the problem, Chen said to her crew. They believe randomized frequencies make them invulnerable. They're about to learn that humans don't just look for one weakness. We create new ones. The enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of crystalline energy, their formations intentionally chaotic. Supreme Leader Zorovek's voice boomed across all channels. Humanity, you have proven cleverer than expected. But clever tricks cannot overcome true power. Surrender now, or face extinction. Chen signaled Rodriguez to open a channel. This is Captain Chen. We're transmitting our response now. At her nod, Martinez activated their new weapon. Not a resonance beam this time, but something far more subtle. Every sensor drone in the combat zone began broadcasting seemingly random frequencies, electronic noise that the corrections sensors would dismiss as battlefield interference. No response from their fleet, Rodriguez reported. They're moving into attack positions. Hold formation, Chen ordered. Let them come to us. The Correxian fleet advanced, their crystalline hulls shifting through random frequencies to prevent any resonance cascade. But with each shift, each change in their defensive patterns, the human sensor net gathered more data. Pattern recognition at 60%, Martins reported. Their randomization has limits. Their ships still need to coordinate. The first Correxian barrage lit up space. Crystal beams lanced out at reduced power, the price of their new defensive strategy. Human ships took hits, but their enhanced shields held. Pattern recognition at 80%, Martinez called out. The algorithm is finding the underlying structure. Chen watched the tactical display intently. They're spreading out, trying to surround us, just like we predicted. She keyed her fleet-wide channel. All ships, execute Operation Thunderstorm. The human fleet broke formation, but not in retreat. Each ship activated specially designed quantum pulse generators, adding their own frequencies to the electronic noise already filling space. To Correxian sensors, it would appear as random battle chaos. They're responding exactly as modeled, Walsh reported, tightening their formation to maximize their reduced firepower. Pattern recognition complete, Martinez shouted. We have their frequency structure. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Now they learn why you should never let humans study your technology. Execute final phase. Every human ship and drone suddenly synchronized their quantum pulses, not attacking the Correxian crystal matrices directly, but creating a complex interference pattern in space itself. The randomized frequencies the Correxians had adopted to protect themselves became their undoing. The first signs of disaster appeared at the edges of their fleet. Ships trying to maintain their random frequency shifts found themselves fighting against the human-generated interference pattern. Crystal matrices that shifted one way found themselves unable to shift back. Their fleet is losing coordination, Martins reported, excitement breaking through his exhaustion. The interference pattern is forcing their frequencies to synchronize against their will. Zorovek's voice crackled through the chaos. What are you doing? Teaching you a lesson about humanity, Chen responded calmly. You thought random was safe. But humans, we're very, very good at finding patterns in chaos. The Correxian fleet's carefully randomized defense grid was failing. Ship by ship, their crystal matrices were forced into synchronization by the human interference pattern. And once synchronized, resonance weapon charge, Martins reported. Fire. The modified quantum lance fired once more. This time, when it struck the first Correxian ship, the resonance cascade was unstoppable. Across the battlefield, crystalline ships began to shake apart, their once random frequencies now perfectly aligned for destruction. Supreme Leader, Chen broadcast, you can still save your remaining ships. Power down your crystal matrices and withdraw. This doesn't have to be extinction. For long moments, there was silence. Then, Zorovek's voice returned, heavy with the weight of understanding. We thought randomness would protect us from your resonance weapon. We never considered you would find a way to create order from chaos. That's what humans do, Chen replied. We adapt. We observe. We turn weaknesses into strengths. And we're willing to teach these lessons to others, if they're willing to learn. The remaining Correction ships powered down their weapons. In the debris field of another crystalline fleet, humanity had proven not just their military might, but their fundamental approach to survival. Hours later, as the Defiant supervised the Correction withdrawal, Martinez joined Chen on the bridge. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "Not to fight, but to learn. Their entire civilization is built on crystal technology. They'll need help adapting to its newfound vulnerabilities." Chen nodded, watching the last Correction ships disappear into hyperspace. "And we'll help them. Because that's another thing about humanity. We're at our best when we're teaching others how to overcome their limitations." She turned to her crew, pride evident in her expression. "Send word to Earth. Tell them that the Correction Empire has learned what so many others have learned before. Never mock human ships, until you understand just how dangerous human minds can be."